Day 2749. I have had it. For the 10th time, I've fucking had it. Sitting at this desk for as long as I have, it's driven me nuts. I pulled my camera back up. Wait. Oh, shit. I shouted. Toy fucking Freddy. I stood up in my seat as he jumped at me. I punched him square in the face, and he fell onto his back. I grabbed my now bleeding hand. Ow, I shouted. Toy Freddy wasn't able to get up. It was like a turtle on his back. I looked at the clock. I grabbed my chair and swung it right as Funtime Foxy jumped at me, slamming me into the wall. Music Man's clashing sounds got louder and louder. Phantom Freddy flashed me, but I'm unfazed by that at this point. I looked Music Man dead in the face. Music Man stopped crashing his cymbals. I looked at the camera and checked the ducts. Oh, fuck that, I said. I grabbed Toy Freddy. Although really heavy, I managed to stick him head first into one of the ducts. I hate those stories, I said. I stuck Funtime Foxy legs first into the other duct. I could see Molten Freddy in the vent. I grabbed Music Man's cymbals, but he had a death grip on them, so I used them to cut his head off. I threw his head at the vent just as Molten Freddy poked its head out. It smashed its face and it fell limply onto the floor. I grabbed Music Man's head and started smashing it with the fan, till it was dented enough for it to fit in the vent. I shoved it in right as Ballora came creeping around. I shut the door on her. I opened it up and I saw red eyes staring at me, so I shut them again. I opened it. The light started glitching, and I walked over to the side vent and kicked myself in the face. He let out a hiss and went back into the vent. Balloon Boy blasted out and hit the wall. "Don't throw shit at me," I shouted. I grabbed Balloon Boy and drop-kicked him out of the left door, but he hit Freddy instead. Freddy fell over and hit the ground.
"Please deposit 5 coins.
"Stick those coins up here." "Fuck me," I shouted. Forgot about the puppet. I got an idea. I grabbed Music Man's cymbals and started crashing them together. "Oh, you silent motherfucker," I mumbled. I heard his thumping getting closer. Lefty stood at the door, staring at me. The puppet and Lefty jumped out of the doors at the same time. I jumped out of the way, landed on my desk, and fell onto the floor right as they slammed into each other. More like Lefty tackled Puppet back into the right door. I shut the door on them both. Nightmare Balloon Boy jumped on me. "You little shit," I shouted and threw him into Rockstar Freddy, knocking him over. I heard them trying to get past the animatronics I'd stuck in the entrances. Toy Freddy fell to the ground. I ran out the left door and ran down the hall. If I remember correctly, there is a way out. It's a door that should be straight ahead. However, I was grabbed by Nightmare Bonnie. I let out a sigh. "Do it. Don't make me wait. Just fucking kill me," I said. Nightmare Bonnie bit into my head, taking a chunk of my brain. "Ah, so scary," I said sarcastically. He dropped me on the ground and stomped my head in. I opened my eyes, back at my desk. I've been through it all. Do you know what it feels like to be killed by yourself? What's scary is that he'll choke me to death. What makes this scary is that that's what I would have done to the night guard from Fazbear's Fright. Elizabeth ripping my arm off was one thing, but she would go for my throat. It doesn't hurt anymore. I can't feel it. I can barely feel anything anymore. It's like everything is numb. I sometimes just walk into the center of the room and let them kill me. The one I'm never killed by is Nightmare Puppet. I'm never looking at it, for the most part. I'm staring at the ground. I've seen things that even I don't know what they are. Some things are from other sources, although their appearances are brief. Cats, dogs, rats, pigs, old robots, mortem, sometimes even corpses. Beating some of them is easy, but I can never put my hands on some of them. Foxy is too fast, The nightmares are too strong. Nightmare Puppet is ungrabbable. And baby, she's my daughter. My previous actions have been the farthest I've ever gotten. This could work. I tried it again, and I only got to the exact same place as last time, with Nightmare Bonnie killing me. I need to find a way past him. I need to buy his plush. I assume that something will continue to stop me until I get to the door. It's hard to keep that up. I need to get the coins, but Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, and Withered Bonnie keep showing up more and more. They only don't show as much when I'm not trying to buy the plush. Helpy always shows up, and they don't show up when I poke him. I get coins for making him go away. I kept trying. I needed to get babies as well, since when I got past Nightmare Bonnie, she would replace him. I got both plushies, threw Nightmare Baby, killed Music Man, Lefty and Puppet tackled each other, and I thundered down the hall. I was fast. I was going to make it to that door. Lefty came thundering towards me. I jumped out of the way and he landed on his face. I got up and kept going. Come on, I shouted. I dodged Nightmare's fist as he tried to hit me. I'll pull your flesh from your bones, he claimed. I grabbed a plush and threw it at him. Nightmare looked at the plushie as it hit the floor. I wasn't going to give him time to mock me, so I ran for the door. Nightmare Fredbear came thundering towards me, and Nightmare soon joined him. I got to the door, but it was locked. I slammed my fist on the door. Come on, I shouted. I got an idea. I jumped out of the way, causing Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare to slam through the doors. I quickly got up and ran to the door. I saw the other side. Anything was better than this. I ran in. I was free. He escaped, Chris shouted. Can you blame him for wanting to? Said Nightmare Fredbear. Chris walked up and clonked Nightmare Fredbear on the head. You're lucky to even be here right now, he said. Hey, he's in the 7th layer of hell. It'd be a fucking miracle if he even got any higher than the 7th layer. Fuck, if he somehow gets out of hell, he's still got the 4 layers of the flip side? I think it's 4, said Toy Freddy. It's not, Chris said, grabbing the bridge of his nose. He's got a point. He might end up getting to the 6th layer in 60 years if we're lucky, said Big Patch. Then we need to send someone out to find him. A team maybe? Chris said. Good idea. I can go, said Lefty. The 2 of us can tag along, added Nightmare, pointing at Nightmare Fredbear. If you want, I can come along too, said Big Patch. Fine. All 4 of you need to go find him. If he gets out of this lair, he's 1 step closer to getting out, Chris said. I continued to run till I just couldn't anymore. I was free. Free. Free? Free? What's that sound? I listened closely. It sounded like crying. Hello? I yelled. I heard a low growl come from far away. I started walking around. Maybe I could find the source. Maybe it was a trick? I got down on my hands and knees. Hello? I said again. The crying softened as if whoever was crying was trying to hide from me. Sadly, I've been in this exact situation. Hey, I whispered. Hey, are you okay? I crawled near a pile of large rocks. There was a small area, probably small enough for a small child to sneak through. I looked inside. Hello? I'm not going to hurt you, I whispered. I saw a little girl cowering as far back as she could in the small area. Hey, it's okay. Come here, I said. I recognized her. I'm not going to hurt you, I promise, I said. She grabbed a small rock and tossed it near me. I reached for the rock and grabbed it. Thank you, I like this rock, I said. She slowly began to crawl towards me. She crawled out of the hole and I picked her up. Hey, my name is William. What's yours? I asked. Susie, she said. That's a pretty name, I said. What were you doing in there? I asked. I was hiding, she said. From what? There's nothing out here, I said. Yes, there is, she replied. What's out there? I asked. A monster, she said. Susie, why are you here? I asked. I don't know. I want to go home, she said. Me too. Many years later. Okay, that was a bit of a rush, I said, as I slowed us down before we hit the surface of the layer. We are now currently on layer 5 of hell. Including the flip side, we have 9 more layers, I said. Can't wait, Susie said sarcastically. I'm not happy about it either, I said. Wonder how many more years it'll take. I'm guessing 40, I said. No, Susie wailed. We're both gonna be as old as shit. No! Hurry up and get us out of here, Susie said, shoving me. Okay, let's go. I wonder what this layer is going to be like. Maybe it'll be like a fancy ball, Susie said. It's hell, Susie. I doubt that there's going to be a ball, I said. I opened the door and then slammed it shut. Susie waited patiently. Remember that dress you begged me to make you? I asked. Yay, Susie shouted and ran off. My clothes have this thing where they just fit in just about anywhere I go. Walked out of the ship. The whole place was all fancy. I haven't been to something like this since my wedding. Everything was some shade of red. That's hell for you. All kinds of people were walking around. Yes, hell isn't exactly full of demons. I mean, it is, but they don't look like demons. Or at least how we'd perceive them. People were kind of just standing there. Hold on, every layer has had its interesting catch to it. And I've read Dante's Inferno. It's a very popular piece of literature here, even more popular here than in the overworld. Mainly for how accurate it'd been. That's a big had. Hell's changed quite a bit since then, but some layers still resemble their prior, we'll say, acts. And if I'm correct, the 5th layer was a royal rumble to the death. I looked behind me and beyond my layer jumping machine, and my stomach dropped. There was a giant clock slowly ticking down like a timer. I ran back inside, running into Susie. Don't go out there, I said. 5th layer of hell, Dante's Inferno. Absolute bloodbath. I'm gonna try and get us moving before that timer's up, I said. The clock started to chime. I quickly shut the doors and went for the console. The sound of flesh-ripping, wailing souls echoed throughout. Susie covered her ears. I frantically messed with the controls. Come on, I said, getting under the console. I gotta break that stop circuit that Chris had put in before we left. They started banging on the door. They started banging harder, and so did I. They started slamming my fist into the stop circuit. I finally grabbed it and using all my strength, ripped it out. I got up and forced the start lever forward. It threw me and Susie to the ground. Then we hit something and it tossed us up and slammed us back into the ground yet again. The machine stopped whirring. I got up. Susie? Susie! I shouted. I ran to her. She was alright, just unconscious. I went and threw open the door, not thinking to listen to see if it had even worked. But it had. We were in the flip side. Which layer of the flip side? I think it's the top and final layer. It's all 90s stuff. I walked around, walking past victims. What's weird is that I don't remember any of them. I only remember this 15. But I counted about 67, and I didn't recognize a single one of them. I've heard stories from 9th layer people about this place. The 9th layer wasn't too bad after you escape your torture, and that was hell, but this place is just disturbing. I finally reached an exit. I remembered this place. I ended up here when I was spring-locked. I did run back through the door, but my body is most likely ash now. I don't think either me or Susie could go back through those doors. Looking for something? I knew who that was. Hello, Chris, I said. I turned to face him. He was a big black blob in the shape of a bear. I see you stopped trying to contain it, I said. Yes, and it's opened my third eye, you could say, Chris replied. So are you going to try and stop me? Take me back to the 9th layer, I said, already having heard this way too many times. You can't walk through those doors, Chris said. I kind of came to that conclusion on my own, I replied. So you finally finished the race, but you can't cross the finish line, Chris said. Who said I was stopping here, I asked. You're not getting to heaven. They won't let you go to heaven, Chris said, poking me hard in the chest. I poked him back. I'm not going for myself. I'm getting Susie there, I said. Ha! Don't you make me laugh, you selfish fool. It's always about you, Chris said. I grabbed the bridge of my nose. I'm sorry. Was there a point in our relationship where I was selfish? Did I not drop scorching hot metal on the floor, which sent me back almost an entire year so I could run to the rescue after you rode your bike into a tree? I'm selfish. I'm more convinced that you're selfish, and that you're pissed because you're obviously the villain in this story, I said. Chris slammed his fist into the wall next to him. I'm not a villain. I am a hero. I've spent my afterlife making sure that you can't bring any more suffering to those around you, Chris said. Suffering? You want me to suffer? You know how to get out of here, don't you? I said. Chris nodded. And I'm not telling you how, he said. I stared at him for a moment. I spent so long trying to get here. I've been longing for true freedom, but I may never get it back. What if you just take me? I'll go back. No fighting, no fake-outs, none of it. But I have a condition that you have to take, I said. Chris thought for a moment. All right, I'm listening. What's your condition, he said. Get Susie out of here. Get her to heaven. I may deserve the worst, but she doesn't. She's nothing but innocent. How she ended up here, I don't know, but she doesn't deserve this. Chris, if you have any humanity left, you'll do it, I said. Chris stared at me. He leaned against the wall. And if I don't? He asked. That made me mad. It made my blood boil. It made me want to kill. If you leave her here, if you don't help that girl, I'm gonna... Chris backed me against the door. What are you gonna do? You're going to do absolutely nothing. Nothing! You can't do anything. You are absolutely powerless against me, Chris shouted. I grabbed him by the bow tie and swung him around. I forced him against the door. If you even think about leaving that girl here, I will escape again. I will come back and hunt you down. Do you hear me? I punched him in the face several times. I will hunt you down. You know my curse. You know what I can do. I will come back. I always come back. And if I come back, I will become the one thing that will shiver you right down to your core. Do not leave that girl here, I shouted. I backed off. Chris adjusted his bow tie. Fine, I'll abide to your condition. But the second you go against your word and leave, I will take everything away from you, right when you're at your highest, he said. His hand out. Do we have a deal? He asked. I stared at his hand. I stuck out my own hand. Deal, I said. Chris grabbed my hand. I thought he was trying to break it. And he did. I'm going to have to break you, Chris said. Do it. Just remember Susie, I replied. Chris's blobby form turned to smoke. He turned to a gray cloud and blasted into me. I absorbed him. I could feel the same energy coming again. Feeling I hadn't felt in some time. I looked at my hand. It ended quickly as it began, and I began to fall, past screams, devils, and ripping flesh. I looked down and saw the lava below. Chris caught me before I landed in it. He put me in a chair within the lava. He pulled out a chain and used them to tie me down to it. Have fun burning, he said. He disappeared, leaving me in the chair. I think you know the rest from here.